guro, opisyal, mga magulang, at kayo mga graduate. Alam po nyo, malapit sa akin ang Marcelo dahil dito ako nag-graduate, dito rin po nag-aral ang aking magulang, mga tiyuin, dito rin po nagturo ang aking ilang tiyahin. Si Miss FlorCruz, Filipino FlorCruz, at si Mrs. Concepcion FlorCruz, ang librarian dito. Kaya, para sa akin, para akong bumalik ngayon sa aking inumpisahan. Taga Malolos ako, kaya mahusay ang aking Tagalog. Pero, pabayaan muna niyo akong mag-wars-wars. Mag-i-English muna ako. Wow, tingnan nyo kayo. Buwanggang-buwangga. Nakatawagan at nakagawang pa. Congratulations. Kung kami nag-graduate, wala kaming ganyan. My name is Jaime FlorCruz, CNN Beijing Bureau Chief, a proud Filipino, a proud Maloleño, and a proud graduate of Marcelo H. del Pilar High School. Last December, I retired as CNN's Beijing correspondent and bureau chief, capping 30 years as a China watcher and foreign correspondent. Before all that, I started here in Marcelo del Pilar High School when I was about your age, nearly 50 years ago. When I was here in high school, I was an active member of the Boy Scouts, an officer of the PMP, the Student Council, and our student school paper. Although I got into the pilot class, the section 1, I was not a star student. I never made it to the honor roll. I was just a mainstream student. Siguro karamihan sa inyo ganun din. Like most middle class youth in those days who grew up in Bulacan, my personal ambition was very simple. I wish to finish college, find a steady job, marry a beautiful girl, and perhaps drive a red Mustang sports car. Simple lang, di ba? I was good enough to pass the entrance exam and enroll at the Ateneo de Manila. At that time, an all-boys university. It was then, and still is, one of the best and most expensive universities in the country. It attracted many best minds, including some sons and daughters of the rich and the famous. Some of them so rich that they actually drove to school in red Mustangs. Wow, sabi ko, vicariously, when I got into the Ateneo, I felt I had made it to the big league. But actually, I was totally out of place there. Provinciano, awkwardly trying to adapt to a very unfamiliar environment. And to make friends and to fit in Ateneo's atmosphere, I went on overdrive with extracurricular activities. I joined the Glee Club, the track and field team, and the college paper. I attended parties, soirees, and went out on dates like my classmates. I did so well in socials and extracurricular activities, but I struggled with academics. I failed math, and I also failed English. So I was kicked out. I was down as quickly as I went up. I was so shamed and devastated because I let down my family and friends who took pride in academic excellence. That experience gutted my self-esteem and shook my self-confidence. For various reasons, my family decided to enroll me at the Philippine College of Commerce, PCC, now known as the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, or PUP, which was then better known as the poor man's college. They were good at producing secretaries, bookkeepers, stenographers, accountants, instead of lawyers and doctors and professors. But that's where my teenage life made another turn. In the 1960s, if you remember, the Vietnam War was raging. Student protests rocked many cities in the world. And here in our country, the angry youth raged against poverty, corruption, and suppression of civil liberties. PCC, my poor man's college, became an epicenter of student activism. Soon, I found myself in the front line of protests. I became the editor-in-chief of our college paper, and I became the president of the National Editors Association. I was also a lead actor in a theater, a protest theater, where we would perform on stage, in picket lines, and during street demonstrations. So what did we want then? We demanded academic freedom. We supported calls for land reform. We wanted land to the dealers. We denounced social inequality, corruption, and warned against the looming dictatorship of the then President Ferdinand Marcos. Now, supporters called us the student activists or the conscience of the nation, but critics labeled us as troublemakers or communists. In one street demonstration in Manila, I was beaten up by the police, detained, and accused of resisting arrest and possessing a deadly weapon. All false charges. I spent only one day in jail, but that experience changed my life's trajectory. My parents grounded me at home for several days, but I had an intimate conversation with them, and I explained to them why I was willing to risk my future career and even my young life to pursue what I thought were the right thing to do. They expressed understanding. They too saw many things wrong in our government at that time, but they worried about my safety. Sabi nga ng ama ko, we worry that you may just disappear one day and we won't even know where to find your body. After lying low at home for a few days, I was back in the front line of protest. I was determined to go on fighting. I became a full-fledged student activist and youth leader. Now, for 40 years ago, in August 1971, I joined a group of student leaders on a 3-week tour of China. We went there because we were curious to see what's like there, the Red China at that time it was called. And we knew little about China, so we were curious to find out what it was like. And we paid dearly for our curiosity. The week we went to China, President Marcos imposed emergency rule. He detained hundreds of opposition leaders, including senators, congressmen, professors, and student leaders like me. And those they could not capture, they blacklisted. I was one of those many who were blacklisted. I was 20 years old. I had about $200 pocket money. I knew zero Chinese, and I knew no one in China. 1 year later, September 1972, the prospects of returning home dimmed when Marcos declared martial law and my Philippine passport expired. So I was stranded in China indefinitely. stateless, along with my fellow Filipino exiles. So to earn our keep, my fellow exiles and I volunteered to work on the farm. We planted rice and did other farm work, which I've never done in my life. Magdanim nga pala ay bibiro, sakit, mahirap. A year later, we worked in a fishing company, sailing on trawler boats to catch fish and prawns, whatever was in season. Another round of backbreaking work. To deal with monotony and boredom, I played basketball and ping pong during spare time. But I was terribly homesick. A few times, when things looked bleak and hopeless, I cried. At some point during the First Lady Imelda Marcos's visit to Beijing, she sent feelers through her Chinese host that she wanted to bring us home, bring me and my fellow exiles home. Although we badly wished to come home, we turned down the offer because we did not want to be used as political trophies. Instead, we kept consoling ourselves. We are young, we are younger than Marcos, and we are going to survive and outlive Marcos. And we did. 12 years later, for me, I came home, my first time. We survived. We turned a bad thing into a good thing. My long experience in China, coupled with my writing and language skills, helped me land jobs, first at Newsweek, then at Time Magazine, and finally at CNN. But pursuing my career as an international journalist was no picnic. It was not a picnic. It needed work, hard work, perseverance, and sacrifices. I had to work doubly hard to make up for my shortcomings. Alam naman nyo, after all, I was an unknown quantity to my employers. I did not attend a top American university. I did not do journalism school. And my English was not my mother tongue. It was my second language. So I had to break glass ceilings one push at a time. I had to prove my worth in practice. But that's my story. Today is your day. It's all about you, graduates. Starting here in Marcelo, as I did nearly half a century ago, I asked, where do you go from here? Anong place ba ang class ranking mo? Ano ba ang grade point average mo? Valedictorian ka ba? Salutatorian? Honor roll? Mataas ba ang nakamit mong marka sa huling pagsusulit sa klase? Tama ba naman ang computation ng grade mo? Maaaring mahalaga nga ang mga bagay-bagay na ito. Ngunit sa buhay, mas marami ang pagsusubok na naghihintay sa inyo. Ang mas mahalaga ay kung paano mo malampasan ang mga balakid sa inyong mga pangarap. May ilan akong maipapayo siguro sa inyo. Maging matatag at matyaga. Alam nyo, ang tunay na buhay ay sunod-sunod na pagsusubok. At naaantala lamang yan, nakakati lamang yan ng ilang tagumpay at kasiyahan. Hindi nagtapos ang mga pagsusubok dahil nag-graduate na kayo. Manalangin kayong sana'y maging maaliwalas ang inyong kinabukasan. Pero maganda rin kayo na harapin ang pagsusubok at kabiguan. Natutunan natin sa eskwela ang tibay ng kawayan din. Hindi siya madaling mabuwal o mabakli kahit na malakas ang bagyo. Bakit? Kasi sumasayaw lang siya sa hangin. at bumabalik na matuwid at matatag pagkaraan ng bagyo. Sana ganun din kayo. Maigting na kompetisyon ang hinaharap nyo, lalo na globalized na ang ating buhay, tapos meron pang ASEAN integration na darating. So, hindi na sapat na ang kaisipan na pwede na yun. Kahit may kukulang o kaya mediocre, lagi natin nasabi, pwede na yun. Hindi na po pwede yun. Kasi po, sa hinaharap, hindi na siguro sapat na high school graduate tayo. Kailangan pong itaas natin ang ating asinta sa pag-aaral at ambisyon sa buhay. Kung hindi, kulelan ang bagsak natin. Pataasin po natin sana ang inyong IQ. Pero mas mahalaga pa ay iangat natin ang inyong EQ, emotional quotient daw ang tawag. Ang ibig sabihin doon, ang pagiging maunawain, mapagkumbaba, matulungin, masayahin, at magaling makitungo sa kapwa. Alam po niyo, yung mga nag-hire ng trabaho, yan ang hinahanap na tao. At yung mga naghahanap ng boyfriend at girlfriend, yun din ang hinahanap. Yan, sana ang matutunan natin. Ngayon, teenager na kayo, hindi na kayo musmos o batang batuta. Isaayos niyo na po sana ang inyong buhay at isumpa ang anumang mga masamang bisyo. Alam po niyo, 25 years ago, pinigil kong bigla ang aking paninigarilyo. Nahirapan po ako. Pero hanggang ngayon, yun po ang isa sa maipagmamalaki kong tagumpay sa buhay. Umanap po sana kayo ng prinsipyo sa kahit anumang larangan. Maging ito'y ideolohiya, politika, pagkawang gawa, pag-alaga sa ating kapaligiran. Kahit na ano, at panindigan po niyo ang mga prinsipyo niyo. Kahit na anong piliin niyo. Tumulong po tayo sa pagpapanatili ng yaman ng ating kalikasan. Kayo ang magiging tagapagmana ng mundong ito. Kaya kayo na rin po ang mag-alaga. Ngayon pa lang. Kaya sabi ng iba, pursue your dreams, don't look back. Mali po, di ba? Tama po ang ating kasabihan na ang hindi tumingin sa pinanggalingan ay hindi makakarating sa paroroonan. So, tumanaw po sana tayo, kayo, ng utang loob sa inyong mga magulang at sa inyong mga guro. Paglisan po nyo sa eskwelahan, huwag niyong kalilimutan na tawagan, sulatan, o bisitahin sila, ang inyong mga magulang at ang inyong mga guro. Dahil sa kanila, nakapagtapos kayo. Dahil sa kanila, ganito tayo ngayon. Magpasalamat tayo sa may kapal, sa mga natatanggap nating biyaya. Magpasalamat din tayo sa mga nararanasan nating kalbaryo sa buhay. Dahil sa bawat pagkabigo ay may dulot na leksyon ng pag-ahon at pagtagumpay. Ganyan kuminsan ang buhay. Kung hindi ka man naging valedictorian o honorable mention ngayon, o hindi mataas ang inyong grado, okay lang din yun. Huwag kayong tatalon sa building o iinom ng DDT. Kasi kung hindi man ngayon, darating din ang inyong magandang oportunidad. Yung sinasabi bang swerte sa buhay. Pero may kondisyon po yun. Ang graduation ay hindi ganap na pagtatapos. Kasi po, pagdating ng inyong swerte, kailangan handa kayong sunggaban yung iyong oportunidad. So kung tutusin, yung graduation ngayon natin ay hindi ganap na pagtatapos. Kundi umpisa lamang po ito ng bagong pagsusubok. So mula ngayon, hinihimok kayo. Ipagpatuloy po sana ninyo ang paghahanda sa mga hamon pang naghihintay sa inyo sa kinabukasan. If there is a lesson that I hope you could draw from my zigzag career, I hope it will be this: that good people, average or imperfect as they may succeed if they only work hard and persevere. 43 years ago, when I went on a 3-week trip to China, I found myself in the wrong place at the wrong time. Years later, it turned out I was stranded in the right place at the right time. I turned adversity into a blessing, into an opportunity, thanks to hard work, patience, and perseverance. I could not have succeeded without the love and care of my family, my friends, and of course my teachers, including my teachers right here in our beloved alma mater. We are all blessed to be graduates of Marcelo H. Pilar High School. To all of you, the 1,664 graduates of class 1915, congratulations, mabuhay po kayo.